Hi, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the link for this workshop. So for parents that don't know, we've been running a series of workshops on a Wednesday under a variety of topics, and today's session was around safeguarding, including online safety. So as part of our training of staff, we really talk about how safeguarding is everyone's responsibility. And it really includes all of these aspects that you're seeing here. So health and safety: is our site maintained for the children? Are the gates locked? Do the children feel safe on site? And we have someone employed to manage all of that for us. Looking at our behaviour management, how the children are behaving in school. Do they feel respected by the teachers, and how their behaviour impacts on other children around the school? Something that's growing is around online safety and internet safety, which we'll come on to in a few minutes. And then looking at our safer recruitment procedures: are we doing due diligence when we're employing our staff, following the correct checks? First aid of staff, making sure that's up to date and they're trained. And then looking at our curriculum really, and how that helps to empower children and to help them to stay safe in school and to learn what it means to be a good citizen so they can make other people feel safe. And all of the kind of threads that come through that in computing and PSHE, and particularly around the safeguarding and wellbeing of our pupils, as well as our rights respecting curriculum. So as part of the requirements from the government, all schools need to have a DSL, and that is a designated safeguarding lead. For Lady Margaret Primary School, that is myself, and along with my other colleagues, Mrs. Hodgkinson, Ms. Towers, Ms. Kumar, Ms. Nash, we ensure that the children are safeguarded well, as well as the other staff. In the event that there is a disclosure from a child, so that's where they might report to an adult where they feel unsafe or something isn't quite right in the home, we have a set of procedures that we need to follow as set out by the local authority and the government. And we have a duty of care to make sure that we listen to the child and we really are the advocates for the child. That is absolutely key. So that doesn't mean that we might necessarily always think that, you know, the parents have done something, but we are here to make sure that the child has somebody that is listening to them and feels supported by the adults at school, and that they can talk to us if there is anything that's concerning them. And this is really, really important because unfortunately there are a number of children just around the world that do not have safe family environments. So it's an absolutely key part of school life. Part of the principles in practice in Ealing is around their approach being child-centred, making decisions that are rooted in evidence, being transparent and having outcomes for all pupils that are focused, and that we have respect for each other. They want to have schools and a community where there's honesty and transparency, and that young people have a voice that it's heard. That's really important. They talk about having a sense of community and recognizing the importance of a child's family within that community, making sure that people don't feel discriminated against for whatever reason, and just making sure that there is help available to anyone that needs it within the local authority. So how that transpires at Lady Margaret Primary School is making sure that our ethos is committed to the child and is child-centred. We take great pride in our curriculum and how we've developed that with child in mind, but really looking carefully at different aspects and different opportunities for the children to share their voice and to talk about things that empower them and make them know that, you know, they're there to be respected, and they also need to show that they're listening to their adults, and we're developing a curriculum that is going to, you know, help them in their future. Thinking about our core values of the school and how we want children to enjoy their learning and be motivated for success, and a focus on their progress, so thinking about their starting points, all makes them feel like they've got a sense of belonging and they're really valued within our school. We try and create really safe and stimulating learning environments. So school is a place that children want to come. Classrooms are decluttered, and they have a sense of belonging and they take pride in their classroom. They want it to be tidy for all the children. Through our assemblies, which we run regularly, we have a head of school assembly on a Monday, and I talk to the children frequently about manners and how we should treat each other. And this then ties into being a rights respect in school and how all the rights of a child need to be adhered to. And that brings us on to a lot of discussion around what's okay in the UK and what perhaps isn't okay, and how lucky we are sometimes when we think about the access to clean water that we have that other children around the world don't have, how we have access to vaccinations, which other children around the world don't have, and how this is their right to make them feel safe. They have the right to vaccinations, they have the right to clean water. And I think it's sometimes easy for us to take for granted those aspects, and it's certainly difficult for children to put into concept how lucky they are. We have our JLT, who are our voice of the school, and they talk to their peers about things that are concerning them, things they want to do better, things that they really like about the school and they're really pleased that we have. And other ambassadors work across the school to deliver those messages and talking to children. And so our pupils really feel empowered and they know that their voice is heard. And that's really important to us as a school. We brought in the implementation of Opal, which is about developing play, and all children have the right to play. That comes back to a rights respecting UNICEF article. But it's also good for their well-being, their mental well-being and their physical development. We're going to be starting something called Thrive, which again is about raising awareness around children's mental health and how important that is. And then we have the Ealing Counselling Partnership, which works with a number of pupils across the schools, but it's also open and available to families. Our counsellor is able to provide coffee mornings or one-to-one sessions for parents if they wish. So please do reach out if you need that. We also have our parent ambassador role, which we started in September. And you'll see them outside in the playground at the start and end of day. And they really are there to act as the ambassador for the parent. So to signpost you to any support that you might need. It could be linked to managing the behaviour of your child, or you need access to a food bank, or you need, just all sorts of things. It could be around just well-being support for you and where to go to get that. And that's really key, because if you aren't keeping yourselves healthy and well, then it's going to be difficult for you to look after your children in the way that you need to. And then there's the SLT and the staff here at Lady Margaret Primary School who are here to help you in any way. We're available, in the mornings after school if you'd like to come and speak to us. Please don't hesitate, because we are here to help and support our families and community. Within Ealing, they have something called the Contextual Safeguarding Team. And this is all about safeguarding children around things that don't happen in the home or at school. So this might be online issues. It could be things that are happening in the neighbourhood and in the community, increases in gang violence and burglaries in the area. And they liaise very closely with the police, and particularly high schools, to help make sure our community and our children feel safe. And that's they are a new role and a new part of the local authority that's really developing. And if there's anything that I get notified about to be mindful in the area, I will write to parents and put things in the newsletter. Now, in terms of thinking about the child and their thresholds of needs, so there's 4 tiers to this. So we have a universal level, which is level 1, which is where needs are met through just universal services, so access to the dentist, to the GP, to the school. And most families, that's enough, that's all that they need. Then we move on to level 2, which is early help. So this is where you might have a more formal meeting with the school and another professional from the early help team or early start team, and you really start to unpick the things that you need help with within the family. So it could be that you're finding it really challenging to manage the behaviour of your child at home. And that can obviously cause lots of stress at home and on the family if you've got a child that is not listening to you and you're not sure how to manage. And what it means is that we have a meeting, usually within school, and we really talk to you about some of the specific issues that you're having. And then from that, we can say, right, we think that this help would be a great use to you, and we suggest that you do this for a few weeks. It could be doing something over a series of months, it could be training. And then we come back and review it, usually between 6 to 8 weeks, and see how things are working for you. See if anything's improved, and hopefully it has. And then things can just be closed and you feel confident that you've been given the support and advice that you need. Levels 3 and 4 usually, well, generally do involve a social worker. And that's where you have kind of reached the point as a family where you need more help, and the social worker can provide that with you, and they can provide you with a number of services to help you and your family. And again, this could be for 6 months, it could be for a year. And generally, when I see families that are working with social services, it is to help and support them as a family, and it is not to take children away from you or anything like that. It's just about bringing you together as a family and recognizing that things can be really challenging. And I think we know as families, things can change. There could be a bereavement in the family, and it's really, really distressing. And in that time, in that moment, you just need that little bit of extra support to help you and your family get through things. So here, just again, going over some of the services available. So as I talked about with universal services, it could be from school, from the nursery, from the local police, GP health visitors. Moving on to the early help, that's around working more closely with professionals to look at specific needs and to really think about the specific support that you need. And then moving on to more complex needs where we might have youth justice involved or eScan, and you might work with a child protection officer in severe cases to really get some really targeted and specific ongoing support that you need. So now I'm going to move on to talking about online safety, and this is a growing issue for everyone as children become more and more skilled, I think, at using their mobile phones. They are becoming more skilled at perhaps hiding things from their parents, which can be very, very worrying. And I've just selected 3 apps that are typically used by our pupils, certainly. So the first one is around WhatsApp. So as you can see here, WhatsApp actually has an age limit of 16 plus, but we know our pupils have phones and we know that they're using WhatsApp. And I think it's just, rather than, I mean, some of you may choose to just not have it, but I think if your children do have it, you have a responsibility to check the messages that they're receiving and they're sending. We do teach children a lot about this, but I think because things aren't happening in school and it's online, some of our pupils take that as a way of acting in a very unkind manner towards their peers, and would say things they would never say in the school playground. So the stance of the school is very much that if we have evidence that you have been behaving in this manner online, a manner that does not fit in with our behaviour policy, and evidence is provided, we will still follow the behaviour policy and sanctions will be put into place. So if you find that your child doesn't want you to look at their WhatsApp messages, it's probably because they might have put something on there or received something that has got swearing in it or is very, very unkind. So I think in the first instance, you need to talk to them about what's appropriate. Things on the internet stay on the internet forever. They can be found by someone who has the skills. You can get children to leave groups if there's a group that you don't want them to be part of because they're not being appropriate. And you can report scams and you can block people. So I think it's really crucial that parents have these conversations with children about how to manage and deal with that, and to get them out of a situation perhaps that they shouldn't be in and they're not happy with. Another app that's really popular here is Roblox. So Roblox, as you can see, is for 7+, so applicable for most of our parents. But the dangers involved that it can encourage you to communicate online with strangers. And quite often we're finding that children will be changing their usernames. So it's not really obvious who your children are talking to. So I would definitely really, really monitor that closely. I would see who they've made friends with, ask some questions. I would check that they're not giving out any personal information, because sadly predators online will know how to get information from children. So they have to be really, really vigilant not to do that, not to give their school away, their name, what road they live on, their phone number, their email addresses. And again, we frequently teach the children about this in school and what's safe to share. For parents, you can set parental controls and you have several options to follow. You have to enter your child's date of birth, and then you can, it will bring up all of the filters that you can put into place. You can disable private messaging, which I think is really crucial. And this again is where children, if they're messaging each other, they think the parents and adults can't see, they might have a tendency to be unkind or to swear, and that's just not acceptable. So helping school manage that would be greatly appreciated. It can also lead to bullying and online bullying, and there have been several cases in the news recently around online bullying. And like I said before, it's really giving the children the option to think that nobody can see them, they've got a different username, they don't know who they are. But we don't behave like that just because people doesn't know it's us, and that it's not okay to treat people in this way, and we should be treating people with kindness. And again, like I said, these things stay online forever. And then the last one, which is proving to be more and more popular with our Year 6 children in particular, is something called Discord. So as you can see here, it's 13+, but as I've said, children are using it. So rather than saying to the children, you're not allowed to use this, it's about teaching them how to use these things safely. So Discord is an app and it helps people to communicate in real time via a text, a video, or a voice chat. You can get it on your mobiles or your desktops. But it really has a risk of increasing cyberbullying. Again, children swearing online, you have the ability to change your chats and your screen names and your users. It's really difficult to moderate for parents. It might have inappropriate content. So Discord mainly hosts private groups, making it easier for people to share explicit content, which is really, really worrying. And it can be just very accessible to predators that want to seek information from children, begin initial chats with them. So again, if your child is using this, monitor it. Know their username, know their friends' usernames and screen names, have a look at what they're sending each other. Make sure you're talking to them about what's appropriate, and that what's on the internet stays on the internet. And you're going to have some very candid conversations with some of your children who may have shared too much. So again, you know, not sharing their name, their school, their address, but even more so, not sending videos of themselves or taking pictures of themselves. So for parents, you know, you can review the safety settings on Discord, monitor their online chat and activity, as I have said, and explain the age filters to them. You know, there's an age filter for a reason, and it's because of all of the dangers and risks that there are involved by using the app, and talk to them about really good online behaviour. And again, this is something that we do in school frequently, but I think because children, again, they feel hidden, they feel a sense of shelter. So they do perhaps say or do things that you would never normally expect and they would never say in the playground. So yeah, just being vigilant. So for parents, I'm going to be emailing this video out, and also there will be some documents that I will be sharing with you around some of the things we've talked about, say around Discord, Roblox on WhatsApp, and there's different guidance for parents, so this will all be emailed out as well. But if you have any concerns around the child, please come and speak to a member of staff. If you need any clarification around anything that's been discussed today, again, please come and speak to staff. And yes, thank you very much.